Now, let me introduce to you Mr. Mark Erlich, who is the director of RIA's Electronic Identity Department. Mark will speak about Estonia's view on future of digital identity. Mark has over 10 years of experience in the field. Please, Mark, join me. The floor is yours for a presentation.
Hello, everyone. It's a great honor to be in front of such an audience. And my name is Mark Erlich, as you heard, and my take-off topic is an EID, electronic identity. And when I was thinking about the topic I should tell you today, I was actually thinking that, wow, such a great opportunity. I should actually hear from you, your point of vision, what is in the future to become our basic tools for identify ourselves in physical and electronic realm. But when I'm thinking about this topic, I always go back almost 20 years. Because in 2002 came out a movie called Minority Report. I am actually a science fiction movie fan. And this movie isn't the best movie, I know. But this movie has a special place in my list. Namely, this movie shaped me pretty well. In one hand, as engineer, I'm always enthusiastic when I see the new things, when I see the new ideas, even from the Hollywood movies. But on the other hand, when I saw this, the first, of course, was that, wow, this is great. But it was like recognizable because it wasn't anything that is completely new. I understood that this is actually something we already are there. This is a scene where the main actor, Tom Cruise, goes into the Gap shop. And he just recently replaced his eyes to hide his identity. And the Gap shop automatically recognized him, and the doorbell, instead of doorbell, there was like a voice that, hello, Mr. Yakamoto, welcome to the Gap shop. So on the other hand, as a person, it was pretty creepy. Because you see, the first thing I was thinking is that, is this really where we are going? Does Orwell's 1984 coming to be real pretty soon? And actually, a couple of years later, I started to work as a programmer. And my major topic was identity part. And I always have it in my head. I'm trying to think and keeping in my head in background that this is something where we are going, and this is something cool. This is something users want. But we need to do it in proper way, so we are not becoming a world of Orwell. So talking about identities, then identity is something we're trying to bind ourselves to. And also others, like governments or social media, they try to understand who we are. We need to always prove who we are. But the fact is that almost all identities today are based on biometrics. Because to provide evidence about your identity, usually, or in most cases, the government-issued identity documents are accepted and used. And government-issued documents are based on biometrics because we use at least photobiometric data. In more advanced, we use also fingerprints. We're adding them to the electronic chips. And all other identities or tokens or evidences of our identity or binding identity to some other roles are based on this government issued. At least when we are not talking about the social media or this open world where we can claim that we are that I'm a Mickey Mouse and I have 2 tails and so on. So, but when we're talking about the real world, the realistic one, then there is always discussion about, is the biometric the only single tool that coming to replace our existing systems? I'm pretty sure not, because you see, biometrics is really good. They are unique. They are binded to ourselves, and it's really hard to fake it, or is it? In electronic environment, it's not anymore so difficult to fake it, at least not for human eye. And another fact that even the fingerprinters, they are not so unique. Many studies shows that one fingerprint may match another person's finger or toe or whatever in 1 to 100,000. So there are possibilities for having a collision of identities. So this is clear that to use biometrics is a good. It simplifies for the users. It makes user experience much, much better. But we can't rely just on biometrics. And the thing is that if we look at the biometrics, what it is, then we know that we use every day at least 2 factors authentication. But when we're talking about what is the biometrics, then biometrics is the 3rd factor. And these numbers have a specific purpose. The first is something I know. It might be a password, it can be a PIN code. So it's something I have total control over. Then I have the second factor. That is something I have. It might be my cell phone. It might be a smart card. It might be account to a network HESM server that keeps my security keys. And this is what I could say that I probably have a control over it. It means that in the best effort, and if I do everything correctly, I have control over it, but there is always certain risks that I don't have a control over to mitigate. And when we're talking about the 3rd factor, the biometrics, then we're talking about something I am. But this is something I can't control. Today we have cameras everywhere. Today we have on cameras good resolution. So if somebody waves to you, hello, and if you have a good camera, you can take a picture and get the fingerprint of it. Even with the closer pictures, you can get iris picture or iris structure. And it's a constant battle. You as a security people, you should know, it's a constant battle between good and bad guys who is a step ahead. But one thing is, as an individual, as a person, I can't control my biometric data. So replacing with the 3rd factor, one of the 2 first, is a bad idea. Because if I say that something I have will be replaced with something I am, well, you can imagine what the black market does if you want to have someone's fingerprints or anything. And absolutely not to replace something I am with something I know. Because we're replacing something I can control with something I can't control. And the rest is your imaginary, what can happen. So 2-factor authentication is an important part in this puzzle. And the 3rd factor is just an additional layer that makes it more secure. And now is the question, how we can use it proper way so it will be user-friendly. So users can use some other means. Maybe we don't need to have something I know such as strict that I need to enter my password. My password can be together with something I am. It can be my voice. and with my voice I'm saying my password or whatever. So you can have like a one-time password that it's generated in my phone, which is something I have. And then I just read it out, this one-time password. So something I know, something I have, and something I am. And of course, the biggest failure what I see today in implementation of biometrics in different solutions, usually, thanks God, it's only rollout, not for the everyday user, so you cannot, in usual cases, log into the bank and make a bank transaction just by showing your face in front of camera or waving your passport, is that all these things are collected from one single device. So we know the cell phone is today a thingy that everyone has in their pocket. So it's obvious that if we do something, this is best user experience. Users doesn't need to do anything else. They just pick up their phone and they do everything on this device. But collecting biometric data, collecting all the evidences that this device is something I have, and I collect also something I am on it. And we know that today's cell phones, especially those who are not upgraded or the latest model, have their weaknesses. So having all those security elements embedded into one single device, it makes this one single device total failure. Because if I go to an open Wi-Fi network in some cafe, phone is in my pocket, but somebody has already control over it. And they have control over all my 3 factors, actually. So we cannot trust the video stream picture or anything we see from the cell phone, because it might be with a purpose, modified the software, or without the person's knowledge, some malware there. So the question I usually ask is in Latvian, what is EID? Where are you going? What is the future? We don't know. But coming back to the first picture, where we see Tom Cruise entering Gap Shop, I will say definitely we're going there. Now is the question how we can build this world without getting to George Orwell's world. So, in conclusion, biometrics is here to stay. And we are going to use them more and more every day. But this baseline for trust and security, 2-factor verification or authentication, but let's say verification, it remains. Also, we get more environmental friendly, nature friendly world. We're getting rid of plastic. People doesn't need to carry with them plastic cards or documents or anything. You don't need to have a driving license. Because government has issued driving license, government knows that you have license to drive. You just need to prove who you are and they can check that you have a license. So we are going completely material free. We can go even naked and be identified. And of course, the last point is the most important of them. Privacy control and trust. So the system must be robust and solid and have a good, reliable trust chain. Everybody talks about the blockchain and stuff. It's not the question about technology, it's who controls the technology. Who has the root tree? Who has the keys to sign the root? These are the questions. And of course, how we can build this system so person has sole control over his identity data. It's including not only control that nobody can use it, but even if somebody is using, I get notified. I know that it has been used. And if I suspect that it's misused, I, as a person, have a right to claim that it wasn't me. Today, we haven't such a system around in the world that if somebody using your identity, you will be notified, so you can, in good time, in advance, to claim that it wasn't you. So these transactions are stopped. Then we can talk about it that let's start to use biometrics worldwide everywhere. With that, I will thank you. Some few wise words from a wise man who has the same name as me, Mark. So I finished with that, and I am open for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark, for this great overview. Before you go, I would like to ask a question from you. The development of quantum computers across the world is moving rapidly. With quantum computers, it is relatively easy to break several popular cryptography systems. How worried is Estonia? How worried should we be about this challenge regarding CERT-EE?
Very short answer would be that we are constantly keeping eye on it and trying to be a step ahead, because we are so much depending on this electronic economy and society. But the longer answer would be that, you see, everybody is talking about it because it's something interesting, it's some science fiction that nobody understands. Only few people understand. And the thing is that when we're talking about the quantum computing, there are actually two different kind of views for that. One view is that quantum computers are one-way computers. They are not bidirectional or multifunctional. It means that if you think about the computer, you install software and it does what software tells it. Quantum computer doesn't work like that. You build them to one purpose. So to see that someone is willing to spend billions of dollars to build a one-way computer that breaks one specific algorithm. And with this breaking, before it leaks out and everybody makes their fixes, the money they can get back is a fraction of investment. So this is more theoretical from this perspective. And only risk here is if it's politically motivated. But still, it takes a decade or two to have such a power, to have such interest to make this kind of jeopardy. The second part is a technical. Everybody talks about the quantum computer, we talk about qubits. And we know that there needs to be several thousand qubits to break RSA, let's say 2K or RSA algorithm. There is no difference what sizes of key, but let's say RSA algorithm. And there we see news where one states that, oh, we have several tens of qubits already. Somebody claims to have several hundreds, and somebody says, oh, we reached 1,000 qubits. But nobody is telling you that there is another dimension. You have a qubits stable or unstable. And those qubits they talk about are unstable. But to break these algorithms, we need to have a stable qubits, almost 10,000 of them. And it takes a couple of decades to reach there. So we are not so worried, but we are worried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, very much. I guess it gives a lot of food for thought to everybody.